From the shadows, the Galactic Conclave prided itself on perfect record-keeping. For 8 millennia, the coalition of 27 sentient species had documented every significant event across 12 spiral arms of the galaxy. Yet in their meticulous archives, one chapter remained deliberately obscured: the elimination of a species called humanity. High Administrator Vex Loren stood at the panoramic viewport of Conclave Station Alpha, his 6-fingered hands clasped behind his back. The luminous blue skin of his elongated face reflected in the reinforced glass as he contemplated the vastness beyond. 700 years had passed since his ascension to leadership, a mere fraction of his species' lifespan. The Iridian people measured time in millennia, which perhaps explained why they dominated the Conclave's upper echelons. Administrator, a voice interrupted his meditation. Something unusual has been detected at Outpost AX9. Vex Loren turned to face his aide, a younger Iridian named Halleck. Define unusual. A vessel, sir, of unknown configuration. It appeared without warning at the edge of the Arcturus sector. Pirates. Explorers from beyond the rim. Neither, sir. The vessel's composition. Halleck hesitated. It contains elements consistent with pre-extinction Terran alloys. Vex Loren's inner eyelids flicked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress among Iridians. Impossible. The humans were eradicated 850 years ago. Their planet reduced to molten slag. Their colonies systematically purged. Yes, sir. That is the official record. Show me. Minutes later, in the secure command center, Vex Loren stared at holographic renderings of the mysterious vessel. Black as the void itself, it absorbed rather than reflected light. No visible propulsion systems, no external markings. It simply hung in space like a geometric aberration against the starfield. It's broadcasting no signals, reported Security Director Zenith, a reptilian Varg whose scales shifted color with her mood. Currently a wary amber. And our scans barely penetrate the hull. Has it responded to hails? No, Administrator. It just waits. Vex Loren's mind raced through possibilities. A relic. Some automated vessel that had drifted for centuries. Or something far more concerning. Evidence that the Conclave's most controversial action had been less than complete. Prepare my vessel, he ordered. I will inspect this anomaly personally. Sir, Zenith objected. Protocol dictates. I wrote the protocols, Director. This matter requires discretion beyond standard procedure. The journey to Outpost EX9 took 3 days, even with the Conclave's advanced FTL technology. Throughout the voyage, Vex Loren reviewed classified historical documents, records accessible only to the highest echelons of Conclave leadership. The Terran threat assessment from 850 years ago. The debate transcripts. The final resolution that condemned an entire species to extinction. They were advancing too rapidly, the documents justified. Their biological aggression combined with accelerating technological development represented an existential threat to galactic stability. Vex Loren had never questioned the decision. It predated even his long lifetime. But now, approaching the mysterious vessel, doubt crept into his mind like a virus. Conclave enforcer ships surrounded the black vessel, maintaining a cautious distance. From the bridge of his personal cruiser, Vex Loren studied the enigma with his own eyes. Any changes in status? He asked the tactical officer. None, Administrator. It remains completely dormant. Prepare a boarding team. I will lead it. His senior staff protested vigorously, but Vex Loren silenced them with a sharp gesture. If this is what I suspect, the political implications are severe. This must be handled at the highest level. The boarding shuttle approached the black vessel cautiously. As they drew near, a seam appeared in the featureless hull, a docking port opening silently in invitation. It's responding to our approach, whispered Zenith, her scales now shifting to alarmed crimson. Indeed, Vex Loren replied calmly. It wants us to board. The interior of the vessel was illuminated by soft blue lighting that activated as they progressed. The air was breathable, specifically calibrated for the boarding party's diverse physiologies. The corridors were pristine, showing no signs of long-term habitation or the passage of centuries. "This vessel is new," Zenith observed, running a scanner along the walls. "Recently constructed. These materials, some I don't even recognize." The corridor led them to a circular chamber with a table at its center. On the table sat a simple white cube. Nothing else. "Scan it," ordered Vexilloran. "I'm detecting no energy signatures, no radiation, no," Zenith began. The cube illuminated suddenly, projecting a holographic figure above it. A human female, dressed in a sleek gray uniform unlike any historical record of human attire. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, emphasizing sharp facial features and eyes that seemed to look directly at Vexilloran. "High Administrator Vexilloran," the hologram spoke in perfect Iridian. "I am Admiral Elena Shirova of the Terran Reclamation Fleet. You are wondering how I know your name, your language, and how this vessel came to be here." Vexilloran's composure, maintained through 7 centuries of political crisis, finally broke. "How is this possible? Your species was exterminated." The hologram's expression remained neutral. "That was certainly the Conclave's intention, but you underestimated human ingenuity and the conscience of certain Conclave members who couldn't stomach genocide." The hologram gestured, and the chamber walls transformed into a display of stars, a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light appeared in regions far from Conclave space, concentrated in areas previously dismissed as uninhabitable or uninteresting. While your Conclave bombarded Earth and hunted our colonies, a fraction of humanity escaped. Children mostly, shepherded to safety by sympathetic members of 5 Conclave species who opposed the extinction order. "Defectors," growled Zenith. "Heroes," corrected the hologram. "They saved just enough of us to ensure humanity's survival. In exile, we rebuilt, we evolved, we advanced." The star map zoomed in, showing planetary systems with sprawling infrastructure, space stations, planetary settlements, artificial habitats. Hundreds of them. Thousands. "For 8 centuries, we have lived beyond your awareness, Administrator. We used that time well." Vexilloran found his voice again. "Why reveal yourselves now?" "Revenge." The hologram of Admiral Shirova smiled thinly. "If revenge were our motive, you would never have seen us coming." "No, Administrator. We've returned because it's time for justice." The star map changed, showing a massive fleet of vessels moving toward Conclave space, not in attack formation, but in an organized, deliberate advance. 7 days from now, representatives of humanity will address the full Conclave Assembly. We will present evidence of the illegal genocide order, the subsequent cover-up, and the complicity of generations of Conclave leadership. We will name those who ordered our extinction, and those who helped save us. Vexilloran's mind reeled at the implications, the political upheaval, the fracturing of alliances, the end of Iridian dominance. "And if we refuse this, audience," the hologram's expression hardened, "then we demonstrate why your ancestors were right to fear our potential." With that, a hologram vanished. The cube on the table disintegrated into dust. "Administrator," Zenith's voice was tight with alarm. "Our ship, it's gone." Vexilloran rushed back to the docking port. Where the Conclave cruiser had been, there was only empty space. The sensors on his environmental suit confirmed the impossible. Their vessel, with a crew of 300, had simply vanished, leaving no debris, no energy signature. Nothing. A communication channel opened on their suit systems. Admiral Shirova's voice, no longer a hologram but equally clear. "Your vessel has not been destroyed, Administrator, merely relocated. You'll find it in orbit around the 9th moon of Iridius Prime, your homeworld. A demonstration of our capabilities and our restraint." The black ship's engines activated, a soft blue glow emanating from previously invisible ports. The reclamation fleet approaches. Administrator, I suggest you prepare the conclave for a long overdue reckoning. As the vessel accelerated away, leaving the boarding party stranded for the outpost teams to recover, Vexloren stared into the void with new understanding. The carefully constructed order of the conclave, built upon a foundation of historical lies and extinction-level atrocities, was about to face judgment from the shadows of its own making. Humanity had returned, and they had not come alone. The reckoning. Panic erupted across the conclave's central worlds as news of the human vessel spread like wildfire. Despite efforts to contain the information, recordings of Admiral Sharova's message leaked to public networks, triggering unprecedented civil unrest. Species who had never questioned their place in the galactic order suddenly found themselves confronting a buried history of atrocity. In the Grand Assembly Chamber of Conclave Prime, representatives from 27 species gathered in emergency session. The massive circular hall, designed to showcase the conclave's unity and strength, now crackled with tension and accusation. "The Iridians knew," shouted Trell, representative of the insectoid Vesperi. "They've always known that some humans survived." "As did the Arcturians," countered another voice. "They were among the defectors who helped them escape." At the center of the storm, Vexloren stood calmly, his age-honed political instincts taking control despite the chaos. "Honored representatives," his voice amplified across the chamber, "this crisis requires unity, not division. The humans claim to seek justice, but their return threatens everything we have built." "Perhaps it should be threatened," came a quiet voice. The assembly fell silent as Elder Mithran of the Arcturians rose from her seat. Ancient even by the standards of long-lived species, her silver-scaled form moved with surprising grace as she approached the central podium. "I was there," she said simply. 8 centuries ago, I sat in this very chamber as a junior diplomatic attaché, while the conclave debated humanity's fate. I heard the arguments. I witnessed the vote." Mithran's luminous eyes swept the assembly. 5 species opposed the extinction order. 5 of 27. Not enough to prevent the atrocity, but enough to act. We saved who we could, mostly children. We hid them in the forgotten corners of the galaxy. And for our compassion, our species were punished, our colonies restricted, our voices diminished in this assembly. Vexloren stepped forward. "Elder Mithran, you confess to treason against the conclave." "I confess to preventing the complete success of a genocide," she retorted. "And I am not alone." Throughout the chamber, representatives of 5 species, Arcturians, Vesperi, Hector, Tenderi, and Novan, rose from their seats in silent solidarity. "We have maintained contact with humanity through the centuries," Mithran continued. "We watched them rebuild from almost nothing. We saw them transform their exile into something remarkable." The chamber's main display activated, showing live footage from the edge of conclave space. A fleet had arrived, thousands of vessels of varying designs, all bearing the same insignia, a phoenix rising from a blue sphere. "The human reclamation fleet has crossed into conclave territory," announced the security system. "They are broadcasting on all frequencies." The face of Admiral Sharova appeared on every screen. Behind her stood a diverse group of humans, different colors, ages, and physical characteristics that showcased their species' variety. "People of the conclave," she began, "for 8 centuries, your leadership has hidden the truth about Earth's destruction. They claimed a natural disaster when it was deliberate extermination. They taught generations that humanity was an evolutionary dead end, when we were, in fact, deemed too potentially powerful to be allowed to exist." The Admiral's expression remained composed, betraying neither anger nor triumph. "We come not for vengeance, but for acknowledgement, not for war, but for justice." In his private command center, Vexloren watched the broadcast with mounting dread. Beside him, Military Commander Drax of the warrior Krell species growled in frustration. "We should strike now," Drax insisted. Our combined fleet can still overwhelm them if we attack immediately. Observe their technology, Commander, Vexloran replied, gesturing to the analysis of the human vessels. These are not the primitive ships of 8 centuries ago. They've advanced far beyond our projections. Then we use the Archean protocol. Vexloran's inner eyelids flicked rapidly. The doomsday option. That would violate every treaty. They've already violated our sovereign territory, Drax countered. The Archean protocol was created for existential threats. What greater threat than a species we already determined must be eliminated? After a moment of contemplation, Vexloran nodded grimly. Prepare the protocol, but do not activate without my direct command. Across conclave space, human vessels appeared near major worlds and installations. Rather than attacking, they simply maintained position, a silent demonstration of their ability to penetrate the most secure regions of conclave territory at will. On the industrial world of Krell Prime, Governor Morax was coordinating emergency defenses when every communications device in the command center activated simultaneously. A human male appeared on the screens. Governor Morax, I am Commander Jackson Way of the Turan Reclamation Forces. Your orbital defense grid has been temporarily disabled. Your planetary shield generators are offline. Your military vessels in system have been immobilized. Morax, a battle-scarred veteran, snarled at the human image. If you think the Krell will surrender without. We're not asking for surrender. Wei interrupted calmly. We're inviting observation. The screens changed to show footage from Earth's final days. The conclave bombardment, the desperate evacuation, the planet's surface transforming into molten slag. Then it shifted to images of human refugees, mostly children, being sheltered by members of the 5 defector species. This is your history, Governor, uncensored and unaltered. It's being broadcast to every citizen of your world right now. Across the conclave, similar scenes played out. Centuries of careful information control collapsed in hours as humanity's story spread to every world, every habitat, every citizen. In the conclave assembly, chaos reigned. Half the representatives had withdrawn from the chamber, declaring themselves neutral in the conflict. Others demanded immediate military action. A small faction, led by Elder Mithran, called for negotiation and reconciliation. Vexloran, watching from his command center, made his decision. Activate the Archean protocol, he ordered Commander Drax. Target their flagship. Deep within an artificial black hole at the heart of conclave territory, an ancient weapon stirred to life. Technology stolen from a civilization that had exterminated itself eons ago. The Archean device could unmake matter at the quantum level, erasing its target from existence without hope of defense or recovery. As the device powered up, targeting systems locked onto the human flagship where Admiral Sharova continued her broadcast to the conclave worlds. We know about the Archean device, she said suddenly, looking directly at Vexloran through the communication link. Another atrocity hidden in your history, a weapon that violates the fundamental laws of existence. Vexloran froze. How could they know? On his screens, a new vessel appeared near the artificial black hole, a human ship of enormous proportions. Before any defense systems could respond, it enveloped the entire containment structure in a field of scintillating energy. The Archean device has been neutralized, reported a technician, voice shaking. They've extracted it from the black hole. That's supposed to be impossible. Admiral Sharova's expression remained unchanged. For centuries, we studied the conclave from the shadows. We placed observers among your worlds. We learned your secrets while you believed us extinct. We know everything. Administrator Vexloran. Everything. In that moment, Vexloran understood the true extent of the conclave's miscalculation. They had feared humanity's potential and tried to extinguish it. Instead, they had forged it into something far more formidable than it might otherwise have become. What do you want? He asked finally. As I said from the beginning, justice. 3 days later, in the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives of humanity stood before the remaining conclave members. Most species had declared neutrality, withdrawing from any conflict. Only 7 still stood with the Iridian leadership. Admiral Sharova, now present in person rather than hologram, addressed the diminished assembly. Beside her stood leaders from the 5 species who had helped save humanity, including Elder Mithran. The attempted genocide of humanity was ordered by a conclave that no longer exists in the same form, Sharova stated. Many of your species were not even members at that time. We do not hold descendants accountable for ancestral crimes, but we do demand acknowledgement and restitution. She presented terms: full recognition of humanity as a sovereign power, reparations from the 7 species who had led the extinction effort, and restoration of privileges to the 5 species who had opposed it. Most significantly, a complete restructuring of conclave leadership to prevent any future extinction orders. "And if we refuse?" asked Vexloran, knowing the answer but needing to hear it. A human male stepped forward. Commander Wei, whose broadcasts had revealed the truth to countless conclave worlds. "Then you face humanity alone," he replied simply. "Your coalition is already fractured. Your military advantage is gone. Your ultimate weapon is in our possession. But most importantly, your moral authority has evaporated. Your own people have seen the truth, Administrator. Many are already calling for your resignation." The evidence was irrefutable, the position untenable. After 7 centuries of leadership, Vexloran recognized the end. "I will recommend acceptance of these terms," he said finally. 1 solar month later, representatives from 33 species, the original 27 conclave members plus 6 human subgroups, gathered to sign the Reconciliation Accords. The document acknowledged historical crimes, established new protections against genocide, and created a more equitable power structure. Admiral Sharova and former Administrator Vexloran stood face to face at the signing ceremony. The Iridian, stripped of his position, but granted amnesty, studied the human with newfound respect. "Your species could have destroyed us," he observed quietly. "You had the capability and the justification, yet you chose a different path." Sharova's expression softened slightly. "Extermination was your solution, not ours. Humanity didn't survive and thrive in exile by embracing the philosophy that almost destroyed us." She gazed out at the assembly, where former enemies and secret allies now cautiously forged a new future together. 8 centuries ago, your ancestors feared what humanity might become," she continued. "They never considered that their actions would shape that becoming. In trying to prevent a potential threat, they created exactly what they feared, but also something they never imagined." "And what is that?" asked Vexloran. "A humanity that remembers its near extinction not just with pain, but with purpose. We return not as conquerors, but as the conscience of the galaxy. The living reminder that even in the darkness of space, some lights cannot be extinguished." As the ceremony concluded, news arrived from scientific teams working together on a joint project: the restoration of Earth. What had been a molten wasteland for centuries was being systematically reconstructed using preserved genetic samples and advanced terraforming. It would take generations, but Earth would live again. Like humanity itself, it would rise from the ashes, transformed by fire, but unbroken. A testament to the truth that had saved a species and might now save a galaxy, that even after the darkest night, dawn eventually comes. And with it, the opportunity to begin again.